Yes, all right, perfect. So first of all, welcome to all the new MMT members. Very happy to have you here. Again, MMT stands for Money Making Team. Why? We are focused on making money here. And that is crucial for you to understand. And that is also something we discuss in the intro video. So if you haven't watched the intro videos meaning the ones that are at the top of the WAP course website, they are extremely crucial for you to understand. If you haven't watched that yet and you skipped a step, then please pause this video right now and watch the videos first before you get into the actual intro videos touching on the concepts. Because, like I mentioned in the intro videos as well, the intro videos without the concepts are nothing, but that's also the other way around, especially the other way around. Without the intro videos, the concepts mean nothing and you will not understand them fully to the full potential. And that is extremely important to understand because you need to have the right mindset. Mindset and technical analysis, they go hand in hand. That is very important. And the reason why we focus on making money is exactly what you will also notice during the concepts that are being taught. Because a lot of people think that more fancy chart equals to being a better trader, etc. This is absolutely not true. And the thing I want you to pay attention to as well is that everything that is being taught in here is the only thing you will need. Let me state that very clearly. Everything that is being taught in this mentorship is the only thing you will need. And the reason I emphasize on that so much is because there are certain people, or I've seen certain people come into the mentorship, they didn't watch the intro videos, and they take some concepts and they like it. Yeah, of course. But then all of a sudden they add a power of 3. All of a sudden they add IPTA data ranges. And it makes me somewhat disappointed because you don't understand the point if you're doing that. Because that power of 3, basically what you're doing, you're adding extra work because it's already in your trading plan. You don't need it. Do you really think I haven't thought of that? Do you really think I haven't studied every single concept out there? I was doing this full-time, not full-time trading, full-time studying trading. And then afterwards, I transitioned to full-time trading. So I have thought of every single concept out there, and it is already implemented in the things that I will be teaching in here. So again, that is a little bit on the mindset. Sorry to bother you with that, but that is very important to understand, all right? So then as well, what you need to pay attention to in the higher time frame. Let me first guide you to the higher time frame analyst progress phase. So here we have the notion that is also mentioned inside the intro videos. Now here we have the progress, and then we navigate towards the higher time frame analyst phase right there. Just before we get started again, this enrollment will be more focused on hindsight examples. So what I mean by that, this is more so in an A to Z guide style. And then afterwards, or watch the other enrollment videos where we more so go over live examples. And of course, the forecast, the breakdowns, they will not make sense in the beginning. But that is where we do go over live examples and how this actually applies into the market and how we can catch certain moves. Because, of course, in the mentorship, in the YouTube, you will likely see more so hindsight examples. In the mentorship, of course, we focus on live trading, of course. So, very important as well to understand that this enrollment will more so be about hindsight examples, just to reinforce the concepts fully into your mind. And then the live examples will also be a bit different because you are getting different insights. So that is crucial for you to understand. Now, what I want you to pay attention to here is when we use the higher time frame, and when I talk about the higher time frame, it is not that you need to be trading the higher time frame or I'm forcing you to trade the higher time frame. What I mean with the higher time frame analyst is before you actually become a good trader, let's define trader. A trader is someone that can analyze the market and that can execute on that certain idea. Let's define an analyst. It's someone who speculates. He sees it coming, but he can't execute on it. Or she. And the first phase we are going to go over is higher time frame analyst. Then we move on to execution. That is extremely important to understand. But again, it's also important to understand that this is not only about higher time frame, because this is all fractal. The market structure, the order flow, the candle signs that we are going to be touching on is also exactly applicable to the to the lower time frame. So if you're not paying attention to the higher time frame analyst week, then the execution will also not make sense because it's fractal. So again, I'm not forcing you to trade the higher time frame, but like you may have heard on my YouTube as well, every time frame needs to be in context of the time frame above it, which automatically leads to you also understanding the monthly time frame. Do you need to trade it? No, but you need to have an understanding of what it's doing, even if you're only trading the 1 minute time frame. So that is very important to understand as well. And then the second thing, or the next thing that we focus on here on the higher time frame, is that we are creating a routine and we are creating guidelines and boundaries before we go into the lower time frame. That is the most important part. Again, a trading plan consists of having boundaries. There's constantly an if-then statement. And this is something that on my YouTube I somewhat dive into, but not as deep. And again, that's why there's a paywall for this, of course. And having boundaries is very important because if you just dive into the chart, and from my experience, I used to go into the chart and go into the 1 minute time frame and see a fair value gap, for example, and just think, that fair value gap looks quite nice, so I might execute on it. But it's just a 1 minute fair value gap. What differentiates 1 minute fair value gap from the other 1 minute fair value gap? Well, what happened before that on the time frames above it? Did we come into a PD rate? That is how we set boundaries and guidelines, because every good trader you see, every professional trader you see, they have guidelines and boundaries. Every single one. Every successful trader has boundaries and a guideline to follow. They don't just go into the chart and say, yeah, I'm feeling that it might go higher. No. There are guidelines that she or he follows. That is exactly what we're going to be creating. We are in these steps. Essentially, we are creating already a trading plan in this mentorship, a step-by-step guide to creating your own trading plan. Now, the way you form that trading plan is, again, first copy my trading plan, for example. You don't need to use it, but just study how my trading plan is formed and study why I do certain things. And then eventually you can add your own sauce to it. That is extremely important as well. So let's dive into the topics. All right, first off, we have market structure. Now, on my YouTube, etc., wherever, you might have heard about market structure as well. And we will dive even deeper into it, everything that you need to know. Now, inside this notion, there are certain questions here. When are ST ranges, so short-term ranges, likely to get respected? When are IT ranges likely to get respected? Etc. These are questions that you can go over yourself. They will get answered in every single video. So, for example, the video format will be the first video. So tomorrow we will have a video on market structure. Afterwards, order flow. Afterwards, candle signs. And it goes on and on and on. Then next week we have execution. Well, not next week. You understand what I'm saying, right? Perfect. So right here in the case studies as well, this is where you can fill in your own case studies. This is highly advised to do. Highly advised. And then if we navigate back to the high time frame analyst, then we have order flow. Now order flow is beautiful. And if you've been here before, if you've been a member for a longer period of time, you know order flow is my baby. And I don't talk about it on YouTube because this is, I love order flow. It's when we describe the core of a single trading plan, this is at the core of my trading plan, order flow. Order flow for me is everything. It's everything. And this is extremely important for you to pay attention to as well. And what we are doing essentially, market structure is more so a bigger overview than when we zoom in a little. So we zoom in on particular candles, we go into order flow. And when we zoom in even more, we go into candle signs. So it's a step by step. We first have a broad overview. We have an eagle's eye view. Then we zoom in a little bit more. We get to order flow. We zoom in a little bit more. And with zooming in this case, I don't mean zooming in the meaning that I go down time frames. No. The same time frame, but you literally just zoom in. That's what I mean with this. So order flow is my baby. Now, these are certain things that we ask ourselves for order flow. If we are going higher, where we would likely go higher from? Invalidation levels, PDA to PDA, every time frame has to be in context of the time frame above. Now, again, these don't need to make sense right now, but they will make sense when we get to the order flow video. So that is on Monday. Then order flow is nearby price action on the respective time frame. Again, will all make sense. These are questions that you can ask yourself when we do go over order flow. If you can answer those, then I do think you have a basic understanding of order flow. Now, after just one video, will order flow fully make sense to you? Well, I hope you certainly have a good understanding of order flow, but it requires practice. That is why we also have the case studies. And again, if you're in the Discord as well, feel free to ask any questions you like. So then afterwards, we move on to candle science, which is even a little bit more zoomed in. Candle science. What is candle science? So respecting, disrespecting, focusing on the next candle always. Again, same exact questions that you can fill in and you will have a good understanding of candle science. Then the case studies. Candle science case studies. Very important to do as well. And again, then on Tuesday, you can expect a candle science video where we go over candle science fully in depth and everything that you need to know about candle science with hindsight examples. And if there's a nice little live example, then of course we will go over that as well. So then after we have a routine. A routine is of course very important because we need to have those guidelines that we can stick to. Now, the more advanced you get, the less of a routine you need. Yes, you still have the guidelines, but you sort of remember them already. I, in the Notion as well, have my routine shared with you. Do I still use that routine on a day-to-day basis? Well, if I need to be a great role model, I would lie to you and I would say, yes, I do. If I'm honest, I say, no, the routine is in my head. I know what I need to do when I go into the chart. Now, again, you're in the beginning stage right now, so you need a routine. Don't neglect this. A routine, again, we will make a separate video on this as well, but a routine does not consist of a million different things that you need to read before you go into the chart. That is why we have simple sentences you tell yourself. For example, if we are going higher, where are we likely going higher from? That is not just a sentence because I think it's a nice sentence, and yeah, it does make sense a little bit because PD raise, blah, blah, blah. No. Everything that I'm teaching here, you need to understand this, everything that I'm teaching here has been thought about on such a deep level. And that is why we were able to create this trading plan and these concepts, because we thought about it on such a deep level that we already knew, hey, order flow already has power of 3, AMD, IPTA data ranges inside of it, and we don't even need to pay attention to it. And that is the same with the routine. Simple sense you tell yourself, if we are going higher, where are we likely going higher from? But that is just one example. You can think of your own. And then I will also suggest certain sentences you can tell yourself. But these sentences, they are chain reactions. They sort of set off an alarm in your brain and think like, oh, I need to think of market structure, order flow, this, that. All right, perfect. Just with one simple sentence. Now, the routine. Again, this is a routine that I used to apply right there. A lot of things, you don't need that much. And that is exactly what we will go over as well. So if you're only watching the Notion, then you will get confused with, wait, does Ario do this? No, he doesn't. So yeah, it's in combination, right? The Notion and the videos are in combination. Bullish arguments and bearish arguments, extremely important. And that is something we will also touch on in the MMP, which is the last week of the enrollment. So then if we navigate back to the Notion right here, we have journal. Journaling is of course also very important. And this is something, no matter how advanced you are, this is something you need to consistently do. Because when you do get to a stage where you are now consistently making profits, and from my experience, if I don't journal anymore, I fall back into old habits and I don't perform at my best anymore. And that is extremely dangerous, right? So pre and post analysis markups, market reviews, and then here a link to the journal itself. Then we have exercises. Now exercises is what we will touch on as well. You can scroll through the exercises, see if you can already make sense of it a little bit. but this is something we will touch on in a separate video as well. So, perfect. That is all for now. Now, if you do have any questions, then of course you can note them there. The drawn liquidity is just a simple question as an example that I noted there. You can delete it, do whatever you want with it. And of course, what we are essentially doing is we are getting to a drawn liquidity. We are forming context right here where we can trade. We are forming a boundary. When this happens, when the market structure, the order flow, candle signs is agreeing, that is when we can wait for example, a higher time frame PD rate that gets hit, and then we have a reason to move into next week, because then we can focus on execution. You don't just execute anywhere. There needs to be context. And this particular week, I would argue, is even one of the most important. But again, that is saying that the intro videos or the concepts are more important than one another. No, they go hand in hand, right? So everything here is important. All right, prepare for market structure. It's going to be a busy week. It's going to be a long week. So prepare yourself. I hope you have a fresh notebook next to you on your office. All right, perfect. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow at the market structure video. Thank you.